Hello and welcome to Women, Wealth, and Worthiness, the Masterclass. So thrilled you could join me today. We are talking all about how to grow your business vision to new heights with your well being as the catalyst. Imagine that. Imagine being able to grow to the next level of your business, your vision, the change making work that you're doing, feeling good in the process. This is something that may not always have been the case with many different things that you've done. I know that's been the case for me. I find often as a creative entrepreneur, I get these great ideas, I run with them and I go, 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 go. And then it's so easy to overdo it because, as excited as you may be and not wanting to say no to different opportunities, we can really burn ourselves out if we're not careful, even doing really good work. Has that been your experience as well? I'd love you can just share in the comments or in the chat. Just put some hearts, some thumbs up, some yes, yes. I see. Yes. Uh-huh. Amen, sister. Okay, I'm seeing some responses that I'm not alone in this. Okay, that makes me feel better. And yet, it's kind of sad, isn't it? The fact that somehow along the line we've actually learned that in order to create success in our lives, we've got to just go so full force that we wear ourselves out. Doesn't have to be that way. And fortunately, I have some little stories about some things sprinkled throughout this masterclass that are going to give you some hope about what's possible for you. And the thing is, these particular experiences didn't come from really any book I read. They didn't come from any degree I have. I don't have a degree, actually. Surprise. Also, they didn't come from a mentor. It really came from somewhere else. And I'm going to dive into where it came from as we go through this masterclass. And so I'd love for you to share, if you haven't already, share who you are, like where you're from, and what is the vision that you're building. Are you creating a new arm to your business? Are you writing a book? Are you writing a song? Are you writing a play? I love my creative entrepreneurs. There's so many people doing such cool work in the world. And I'm grateful to know so many different authors actually from different fields, psychotherapists and people in business and marketing and strategy, and people who are actually, they write for nonfiction and fiction. Things like a romance novelist is somebody that I know as well. And it's just fun to have this creative expression coming through. One of my friends is actually starting to write more poetry and songs as well, which is really fun. And so there are so many things that we're building and growing. And I see, yes, somebody's working for a nonprofit, somebody is wanting to grow and expand their online courses, someone is actually creating a product. Yeah, and it takes a lot. And okay, so it's a spinoff from your existing business. You see, there are so many different things that you can actually be growing at any given time. And if you're growing an existing business and trying to build something as that's happening, it can be really challenging. And that's often where the burnout lies, is when we want to move to the next level. Because what got us to where we are now takes a whole new level of energy because we have something else to sustain. And so does it involve, yes, delegating? Does it involve, thinking about what is really important now, what to put off, et cetera? These are things we'll get into, some different little strategies and things that you can do to help you when you're deciding to move to the next level. But right now, I want to talk about this whole idea of balancing our well-being with our professional ambitions. And I find as women entrepreneurs and the women entrepreneurs that I actually coach, it's about embracing a more sustainable, fulfilling approach to our dreams. And so, how does it really feel when you think about it? Do you sometimes feel overwhelmed or find yourself circling around the same ideas? I see some yeses, I see some hearts, I see some unhappy faces, some tears. Oh dear. Um, well, I just want you to know, obviously, you can see in the chat, you're not alone. Today, we're going to explore how we can shift from a pressure driven approach to one that is really including self care that is strategic. And it's something that has reshaped my business and the lives of many women I work with. And I guess I should start by saying, if you don't know who I am, and if you don't know my story, I'm Sheila Botello. I'm a self care strategist. I'm creator of the Season Self Care app. And I'm also host of the Connect with Sheila Botello podcast. And where all of this self care work came from was a place that was very unexpected. I have been in the wellness, personal growth, and transformation space for over 30 years. And it's been really interesting being in that hustle culture in its many forms over the years, the very masculine energy that comes along with it, which I love for the structures, the systems, and the like get it done energy. I'm so grateful I've been steeped in that so much in my life. And I just have really personally experienced and then also witnessed among my peers and colleagues how it can really get in the way of true fulfillment and enjoyment in your life because it can take over, it can dampen creativity, it can take you out in your health. And here I am in the wellness space, wellness and hustle. I don't know, do those two things go together? It kind of feels like a disconnect, right? That's what I was starting to notice. And so I noticed that it wasn't just me. And there was this lack of the creative, more pleasureful, allowing things to shift and move and spaciousness portion of growing a business. I mean, even as I say that out loud, it doesn't sound like something that's normally talked about around boardroom tables or from the front of large ballrooms where there is something being pitched from the stage. Usually, we think of vacation when we think of pleasure, relaxation, etc. And there is this quote I heard once, you may have heard it before yourself, and it says, "What kind of life is it that you have if you need a vacation to really enjoy yourself?" Yes, you can enjoy yourself on vacation, but ultimately I'm all about helping you build a life that you don't need a vacation from. It's something you get to choose, something you get to add in. But imagine if your life, your day to day, had pleasure infused in it. And so vacation was a cherry on top instead of that thing that you were working so hard elusively to chase after, only to get to it, be so exhausted, and take a couple of days to wind down, really enjoy, just to then have to pack up and come home and get back into the hustle. Are you feeling me on this one? I'm seeing some flames. I'm seeing some thumbs up, some me too. Yes, yes. Agreed. Okay. Oh, I can't wait to go on vacation. Yes. Okay. Okay. That's good. I mean, plan it. But how about if we created a lifestyle that infused more pleasure every day? And imagine if it actually caused our businesses to get stronger, right? So these are some things that I really want to focus on. And my story, like I mentioned, being in wellness, it became very difficult for me to navigate this time in my life over a decade ago, 11 years ago, actually, when my sister got sick and she was diagnosed with cancer. It was a very quick cancer diagnosis and treatment. And after my whole family moved 6 hours away from our home to go be with her, she passed away. And it was very unexpected. It was very sudden. We were all completely shocked and blindsided. And I'm such an optimist. Looking back, I see there were some signs that perhaps could have indicated, like now I've been around enough, really sad hospital situations to see that what was really going on. But I didn't realize that we had so little time with her. So I am glad we had a great relationship. I'm glad we could be there right until the end. Literally, I was there with her when she passed, was holding on to her when she passed away. It was a very surreal time. And I share that to share this. I felt utterly helpless to be able to help in a situation that was impacting her health, even though I had all of this beautiful experience and wisdom around well being. It was the ultimate feeling of being out of control. And then it hit me as time passed and I was moving through this grieving journey and seeing other people who were also, when you start grieving, you start to see other people who are grieving and they share their stories. And it's a beautiful healing experience because you realize you're not going through it alone. But during that time, I kept hearing stories that sounded so similar, like warning signs being avoided, people, not giving themselves the self-care they needed, thinking they were doing okay, thinking they could just keep pushing and ignore certain symptoms and signs. And it was just very interesting to me. So through that time, I realized this experience was one that really needed some perspective on and some reflection on. And it really shifted my work into the fact that it's so much more than, oh, what are we eating? What are we drinking, etc. It is really tuning into our bodies and really creating space to care for ourselves. And many of us are people who are not just caring for ourselves, we're caring for maybe our businesses, for our families, for young children, teenagers, which still need a lot of our attention, elders, and we're caught in this whirlwind of activity where it's hard to really know how we're actually doing and the stress levels that are associated with that. We may be doing all the right things, but the stress that we feel inside of ourselves is often the thing that brings about disease and challenge and illness and all of those things. But when we're not present to it, it's hard to really see. So that was where my work shifted into self-care and then later into self-care strategy for business, because I realized what can work for one person, one human ecosystem. Imagine how beautiful a business ecosystem that impacts so many other lives, how that can be. And so that is really where I started my work in self-care. And so today, talking about women, wealth, and worthiness, it's so interlinked. Our self-care really is attached to our self-love and our worthiness. And often, because we are not putting the time into our own self-care, we are then shortchanging the wealth that we are able to make. And so I wanted to share my screen. I'm going to be going through a little presentation that I made for you. Let me know if you can see that okay. Can everybody see that okay? Great. Okay, so women, wealth, and worthiness. And thank you for the hearts. Thank you for the nice comments. Yes. And I see there's other people here who've experienced really tragic things. This is just part of our human experience. And I think the more we talk about it openly, realizing that it is just part of our life, then the more the collective heals, and maybe the more we take care of each other and ourselves so that we can hopefully maybe prevent a lot of tragic things from happening, right? If we slow down and take care of ourselves. So again, this is Women, Wealth, and Worthiness, Grow Your Business Vision to New Heights with your well-being as the catalyst. Because as I tell that story, what lands for you? You can have all the wealth in the world, you can have all the success in the world, but if the people around you aren't well, and if you're not feeling well yourself, is it really worth it? You may be happier just not chasing it all and relaxing, right? Well, I'm here to tell you it doesn't have to be one or the other. I've experienced in my life a beautiful balance between the two, a harmony. It's not always in full balance. It's always going to be shifting depending on where you're at in your life, the season you're at, the season your family is at, the age you are, the economic climate, all of these things are impacted. And so today is all about understanding your vision and alignment, right? I talked about there was something so much more than just books I've read and what people have taught me and mentors, etc. Really, it was finding a deep understanding within myself. And I invite you into that too, to understand your vision and alignment. So aligning your actions with a clear vision for greater fulfillment, addressing the need to cultivate self-worth as a foundation for success, like as a way to embrace your own worthiness, and then seeking inspiration from around you in places that maybe you never would have expected. And so I will tell you a story. There was a day I was sitting under one of my big oak trees. It's now becoming a big oak tree in my yard. And I was just letting the calm of nature surround me. And it was then that something really amazing happened. I like to call them divine downloads. I see I'm not the only one. I see some people enjoy that term as well. Ideas began flowing at that time. So not really about adding more tasks to my day, but about stripping away all the minutia. And I envisioned a way to grow and scale our businesses with less stress and more focus on truly what matters. And I found this was really a pivotal moment that led to the transformation that I now share with others. Because truly, we often think that being busy means being productive, but that's not always the case. I've really found that effective time management isn't about filling every minute. Really, it is about choosing what moves us toward our business goals, right? And then doing those really, really well. So what this involves is there's so much to it. And there's a whole lot of different elements, right? So I'm going to talk about some of them. Here we're talking about leveraging community and collaboration. It is so much more than just going it alone. It is having a network that you're nurturing, elevating each other, collaborating with others to amplify the impact as well. And as you are creating a value and vision driven business, this vision really guides your actions and decisions. And so here's another story. So I was actually seeking the perfect message for this program that I'm offering here to you right now. Like, there's actually a program I'm creating, I'm going to be talking about later, but I wanted to have a masterclass sharing really what it is addressing, right? And I wasn't sure, well, how should I handle this? And so the title of this masterclass, I just couldn't come up with it. And it was so interesting because I was thinking about it. And I thought, okay, I'll just have to earmark some time to walk on it because I walk on my ideas. I get out in nature and I either stand under the trees or I walk and I kind of get inspiration that way. It's hard for me to do it in front of a computer. And there was a person, one of my colleagues had contacted me and they just let me know they were going through a little bit of a struggle with a client. And as they shared just something for feedback, like how, a good way to address something in a really kind way. We were talking, I thought, oh, what's so interesting? It sounds like there's something underlying here. There's something else going on. It's not really just what this client of yours is experiencing. And of course, I didn't know the whole story. I didn't know the person. Like, this was just more like, here's a scenario. What would you do in this scenario? Right. You probably have friends who call you for things like that too. And to me, it came down to, I realized this person was really up leveling in a big way, bigger than they'd ever done before. And so thinking about that, I imagine, well, what does that do to our bodies? Like, how do we feel when we're wanting to grow and move into something completely different? What does that feel like? And I realized it could be, and again, this is just my guess, it was my hunch. I realized this feeling of up leveling felt scary. And later on, I found out this was the case because they were able to talk about it. And it was just like, hey, your hunch was right. That's really the only response I got. Um, but I think sometimes this can also come in my own personal experience. It can come from worthiness, right? We have this idea we want to go after. We have this vision we have for ourselves, this dream we want to go after, but something keeps stopping us. And often it is the worthiness piece. Like, well, who am I to actually do this thing or to achieve this big or to touch people's lives in a remarkable way? Like, who am I? And that really is connected to worthiness. And I thought, so not only is our lack of caring for ourselves like a bit of an ambush to our ability to create wealth, but also our worthiness, our sense of self-worth, our self-trust, like trusting ourselves to be able to actually achieve these things. This is something like I'm raising my hand here. These are things that I've struggled with over the years myself. And so I'm present to it. I know if I've dealt with it, I know others are too. And frankly, in conversations, I've heard that it is a very common thing. So that is what really sparked the title for this, Women, Wealth, and Worthiness. I thought, oh, interesting. Because at the whole base of it all is the idea of, are we loving enough to ourselves? Or are we giving ourselves the self-care we need to go and achieve the things we want? So that's how it started. And it was something that was, I didn't actually actively seek out that title. It was literally delivered to me through an experience. And you may find that yourself as well, with certain things. These ideas sometimes just don't come from books or from mentors. Sometimes they really do come as inspiration from somewhere else when you're not even looking for it. And so, as we talk about leveraging collaborative relationships here, I just want to highlight that nobody achieves anything alone, right? The support of a community is invaluable. And in my experience, it's where I've witnessed people creating a network that not only supports, but elevates your growth and aligns with your vision. So you're sharing your challenges, your ideas, and your successes. And all of these things makes not only your journey, but the journey of others far richer and more rewarding. And so, it's so important because when you're going through that experience, you see how one idea and one connection can lead to another, can lead to another. When you're hearing other people achieving certain things, you start to see things being more possible for yourself. Now, that one story I shared with you was all about embracing unexpected things, right? Like, so I'm going to talk about in other areas of your life and business, really do embrace the unexpected, right? Set bold goals, commit to ambitious targets for business growth, remain adaptable, stay open to unexpected pathways to achieve your goals. Sometimes it's not even what you imagine that is the best way. You might go about saying, no, I've put this in stone. This is what I'm going to do. And wah, wah, it goes flat, falls flat. But then something that just comes out of the blue and you say, I'm just going to on a whim test this thing. And it goes gangbusters. It's amazing how that happens. And then, of course, through all of this 3-step process here, you got to be celebrating along the way. Sometimes the celebration is just showing up, is just getting in front of your Instagram story, or it's just, actually doing the one push-up that you said you'd try 10, but you did one. You just showed up and you did it. Sometimes it's just putting on the shoes and taking a step outside of your front door, right? We've got to be celebrating these things because it's too easy, for us to end up just going through our life and actually achieving some things, but not really making anything recognizable in terms of what we've achieved. And so I'm recognizing you for being here today. And if you're watching the replay, thank you for watching this far as well, because I know replays are not something that everyone always watches to the end. It has to be really important for you to be here if you're here. Obviously, something about this title, something about this content is urging you to be listening. So thank you for listening to yourself that you should be here. What I want to say though about self-care strategy is really when you incorporate it into your business strategy, it's not just nice, it is necessary. It enhances creativity, stamina, and overall productivity. And so what that means though is you're setting boundaries, you're prioritizing health, and you're actually just being in the moment sometimes. And that is where you're going to allow these unexpected things to come in because you're in the moment, because you can be. Another story I want to share about being in the moment. I once set a financial goal, imagining that it would come to pass through traditional means, but instead it came completely differently. And, ultimately what ended up happening was I thought, okay, I'm going to deliver this one thing. And I guess the universe had other plans. I said, I'm going to create this offering and, you know, I'm going to, I'm going to just have this revenue goal tied to this specific offering. And then there's, how you're making financial plans, right? So they're connected to creating something, promoting it, thinking in terms of ratios and percentages. And then, okay, number of people purchasing, and then X number of emails, social media posts, conversations, like all of these things. I just want you to know, first of all, this is all made up. Like the goal it's just made up. It's pulled out of thin air. Because side note, something I am so grateful to have heard on repeat from my business mentors who launched 7 and 8-figure offers is that no matter how much success a person or a business has, there's always an element of grace involved with the numbers that profits and the profits that come in. So I thought that, I'll have goal A. This is my goal. And it's what I call a wouldn't it be cool if goal, right? I love to think in those scenarios. Wouldn't it be cool if? Because it gets you kind of playing with the idea and feeling into it too. And so then I got to work creating it and promoting it with select people. I had the container to connect with people who were later going to be delivered the content. And I also just had everything slotted in my calendar. Like everything was completely sorted out. And literally 5 days went by when I received a voice message from someone offering me an aligned opportunity that gave me an additional profit stream with barely any work during the same time frame of my offering without even interfering with it. Because I had this whole time frame set up because I wanted to have a period of rest after it. I didn't want to have everything bleeding into everything, right? I wanted it to really just be here, that we're going full force here with self-care built in, but like this is my focus time. And what ended up happening is, sometimes you think, oh no, well, would this thing like kind of impact or cannibalize the other thing I had created? But actually it gave energy to the other thing. So both things were energetically helping each other thrive. And this experience taught me such a powerful lesson about the beauty of letting go of rigid expectations. The outcome was not only more aligned with my true desires, but it also came together with such ease and less effort that the journey was so much more rewarding. And so, this is a reminder to you. So, sometimes we ask for something, please remain open to the flow of life because what we receive can far surpass our original plans. And they can even bring you greater alignment, greater satisfaction. So it's interesting when these things happen. I just love it. And so here I'm talking about some ways that you can actually practically implement strategic self-care. There are things that are going to help you, like things that you're learning from here today, like about these little ideas that again are coming from around you, being aware of them. You can start implementing these types of things immediately where you're spending time tuning into yourself to look for the answers within and to be open. That's one of the things to implement, being open to what is possible that maybe you're not seeing that's been there all along. Also, optimizing your routine with simple little shifts so that you have more spaciousness to take care of the things that matter most to you, like in your relationships, in your own personal self-care. What can you delegate, etc., right? And then also unlocking new possibilities by embracing a vision-driven approach that really can create those unexpected wins. Like it's something that, you know, it's something you have to experience once. And I invite you to look back at a time where you had one plan and the plan may have fallen through or it had pivoted to something else. And then the outcome was better than you expected without you even trying. I'd love it if you'd share actually in the chat, like, have you ever had an experience like that? Your plan, it was like totally all dialed in. You thought, oh yeah, this is how it's going to go. And then things kind of felt like they fell apart, but in the end, they actually worked out better than you could have imagined. Like you met the person, maybe it felt bad at the time, but later on, because you had that experience, it invited you into another opportunity later on. Like, yes, that happened. Oh, there's some cute little stories in here starting to form. I'll have to save those to share. Oh, thanks for sharing. So good. So, how do we cultivate self-care and community? It starts with nurturing yourself. Like, make it as part of your own self-care. Like, again, self-care strategy. It's your part of your tool chest. Just like making sure you've got all of your documentation put together, you've got all of the digital equipment that you need, everything's up to snuff, you've got the latest updates on all of your software, like make self-care as important as all of those things. And then of course, build the connections. And how do you do that? Reach out. See how you can create value for other people. See how you can serve. See how you can connect other people to each other. It's one of my most favorite things to do. And I have dear friends who love to do the same thing, some of whom are on this call. So thank you. So appreciate you. And then also embrace inspiration. Stay open to unexpected pathways and opportunities. It's such an important thing because at the end of the day, empowered women create empowered businesses, create a more beautiful world that has like the ecosystem of sharing and giving and growth. It's a wonderful thing. I've always said like more money in the hands of conscious entrepreneurs is a beautiful thing. Men, women, everybody, whoever is on this call, like welcome. And I know that if this is something that resonates with you, the world is better off with you having more money in your hands, with you having a more successful business. So again, it's all about being vision driven, self-care focused, and community powered to become your fullest version of yourself. I'm going to get to that next. I just wanted to share one last story because it's just been so interesting for me. So I had set this goal as to a specific software that I was wanting to purchase. And it was like an investment in my business. It was kind of a big deal. Like it wasn't huge, but it was enough of a chunk of investment that would mean I'd have to defer it from something else. Cause that's what we do all the time, right? We're always trying to make sure we're making wise financial decisions in our business. And so here's the thing that happened though. I'd been thinking about it, like, thought, okay, how should do I really need this? Because have you ever found you're looking at all of these different options. You're like, I know that I'm going to do all of them at some point, but which do I do now? Because you want to invest in those things you're actually going to use and not just have them sitting there. Like, I don't know if every year you do like what I do, where you go through all of your different apps and things and go, okay, do I even use this? And then you get rid of the subscriptions you don't need, and then you update the ones that you do need, right? It was that kind of thing, except this was a larger thing. I said, you know what? I need to get away from the computer because I cannot make decisions just sitting in front of my computer. It's so disconnected, disembodied for me, right? So I went out, walked under that vast, beautiful sky, and I was completely free of my usual digital distractions. And as I became present to my surroundings, I literally felt into how I wanted that to look, and this and other things as well. Okay. This is just one little thing, but I thought, okay. And I'm using this as an example. It's kind of not that big a deal compared to maybe some of the decisions that you'll be making in your life. Right. But I felt into, well, okay, what are the options? How could this really look? And so I thought of some different ideas, but they were really just ideas of how I could handle it. And I realized, I'm just going to have a conversation. I'm going to talk to somebody about this. Little did I know that the one investment I wanted to make in my business was actually one I just needed to ask a question about and make a request. And this is the beauty of having an incredible network like I do, and a testament to building trust over time with people in different kinds of businesses. The thing I'd been planning to ask for a discount on, I thought, okay, that was what I came up with on my, I'm going to ask for a discount, and like whatever happens, happens, but you never know. Ask for these things. Maybe I could defer something so that, because I really thought it was helpful for me to have this now. And so I asked for the discount only to be gifted the entire thing to me as thanks for some value I had given. I had not even held that possibility. And yet there it was. And apparently it was something that was there all along that was going to be offered to me anyway. The timing just, hadn't come about yet. So this is one example of how you can have one idea and just really imagine, like, how great would it be if it happened? And then trusting that it's a possibility and getting more than what you expected. And sometimes that thing is already right there already. It's just a matter of opening up to the possibility. And that's with one experience. I've had these experiences over and over in my life, from living in Europe as a young woman right out of high school, from, moving, like not being able to find work once I returned from Europe, to moving into Toronto from where I grew up in Ottawa, and having a whole new world open up to me that I didn't even know existed in the whole sales and marketing world and personal development space, to then having a job basically given to me, to then meeting my husband on that job, and then having just a beautiful series of events. And certainly through that, other challenges and things too, because that's life, right? And and then having this vision, this is the one that I hold the dearest, most dearest to me. And that is having the vision for the type of family life I would have, the type of access with my kids, time spent, relationship with my husband and my kids. And now my kids are in their mid to late teens, and I have a great relationship with them, and they're well, and they're doing well, and they're ambitious in their own ways. And we enjoy as a family spending time together as well. And they enjoy each other. It's something I envisioned and I held in my heart, and it came to be. And I know we all have dreams in our life that we really put a lot of energy into, and they don't come to pass the way we would like. And so I just want you to hold the possibility, though. Keep holding the possibility for good things, because sometimes something you want doesn't happen, but something even better is waiting for you in the wings. I always love to share these stories of the good things because it's proof that they can happen. I certainly could sit here and tell you also about a lot of the challenges that I've experienced in my life, a lot of the loss of loved ones. I'm not going to go into those stories today. You can go back and listen on my podcast if you feel like it, because there's a lot of, well, not a lot, but there's a handful of episodes about that. Connect with Sheila Batello is the podcast. But today it's all about possibility, because we can very often spend far too much time focusing on those things that could go wrong, or the things that went wrong, or how someone did us wrong. And they're often distractions from the good stuff. And so I want you to really, hold in your heart those things that you desire and be open to the unexpected blessings that are waiting for you that may even be right there and you don't even know it yet. So please, with that in your mind, once you're off of this masterclass, and if anything really cool happens, do message me. I want to hear. It'll be so cool because sometimes just having our awareness about it is pretty awesome. So I wanted to tell you all of that to really share with you about what I have been brewing in the background, and it is the Self-Care for Business program. If you're familiar with the Season Self-Care app, you know that the Cyclical Self-Care Primer, which is now just the Season Self-Care Primer, is in there, talking all about how to live your life, work out, build your business, do all of these things with self care as the foundation and really learning your own energetic set point and your cyclical rhythms so that you can be living and working in a more kind way for yourself and really a more effective way too. And so all of that took me along this journey of working with clients with self care as the foundation. And what I came up with was a self care for business program. And it's really about unlocking the transformative power of self care to propel your business to new heights. And it's through a blended time management, energy optimization, and pleasure practices program. And it helps you to become more productive, to have more balance or harmony in your life and well being as a purpose driven entrepreneur. Because if you are to have so much access to growth, to influence, to profit, you should be able to enjoy that journey as well. And so I really want to highlight just some of the key course objectives, and we can get into this on a private call if this is something that you feel called to explore in a container I'm working on. And it is to understand the vital role of self care in achieving business success, leveraging time for efficient task prioritization, harnessing your body's natural energy cycles to maximize productivity, mastering the art of effective delegation to focus on your core business, integrating joyful restorative practices into your daily routine, and balancing your big vision with quality time for loved ones and relaxation. And there's so much more to it because the way I'm delivering it also includes the opportunity to network with other people. The thing that has really grown my life and my business and influence has been the group of people that I've connected with over time. And I'm wanting to start sharing some of these people with you over time. But more importantly, I'd love for you to be able to get to know other people who are wanting to create their big, bold business dreams in a space like this. And this is a 3-month container. And I'm just going to move to the next slide. And again, understanding nature, self-care's impact, leveraging time blocking, for instance, is one kind of key thing, how you can leverage your time, harnessing cyclical energy. And this one, it's all about, oh, that actually just doubled up. That is the basics of it. And what we can do is get into a conversation on a call. I'm going to share a link in the chat. I'm just going to access it now to give you the idea of exactly what is involved in the program. But just to give you a little heads up, it is a 3-month coaching container with live group calls, with access to the Season Self-Care app, with everything kind of uploaded into that as the course portal. So it's a place for you to be able to take all of the details of the course with you mobile, which is exciting. And then there will be a community developed as the time goes on through the program as well. And so what's really exciting about this is the fact that in 3 months, you're really taking yourself through this vision. It's not just about learning how to build your business with self-care. It's literally starting with this idea of what you're wanting to achieve. Do you have a 3-month goal? I love working in seasons. Business world loves working in quarters, right? Quarters and halves, right? So it's kind of like the seasonal quarters and then the 2 equinoxes and all those kinds of things. If you're bringing cyclical and seasonal rhythms, right? So this is really all about you being able to get your idea from concept to ideation to action and to profit within that 3-month time period amidst a group of other people who are doing the same thing. And What's super cool about this is I actually have something that I am doing through this process, and that is I've started to write a book. And I have a framework for the book that is at this point. And so what's really exciting about that is I get to go through this process with you as well to be able to like I feel like doing things like this. I love working in groups because it gives me so much energy. I love being with other people. The ideas flow. We get to bounce ideas off of each other. It's a high level, small group scenario. So we're talking about a handful of people working together through this program to bring your big, bold, next big, bold business dream to life, literally and figuratively. So if you have questions, I would love for you to schedule a call with me. I do have some time on the calendar this week coming up, and then I'm going to be out for a bit, but the program is going to start in June. And again, you'll get all the specific details when we get on a call. We'll dive deeper into what the course content is, et cetera. But if this sounds like something that's kind of like, ooh, this is interesting, because I honestly feel that the groups, I've been working with a lot of groups lately in different scenarios, and I've been working one-on-one with people. And I find something really valuable happens when people come to me and tell me like they get so much value out of the group containers that I'm hosting. And it's because they really get an idea. They get a more of a wider perspective on the thing they're trying to offer. And often people see in them really what they're capable of, more so than what they see they're capable of themselves. And this is something true, I think, for all of us, right? We can sit alone and look at this thing we're doing and then keep putting it back on the shelf because we don't have anyone to be accountable to and we don't have anyone cheering us on. And so that group in Self-Care for Business, it is all about celebration and like moving forward to the next phases. So please tap that link. And I will also send it out in an email to you as a reminder. I would love to have a conversation, hear what your goals are, and hear also what landed for you. And so please feel free to share in the chat. Nor instead of answering questions here, because I wanted this to be a more accessible conversation for you to take a look at, and then for us to talk specifically one-to-one. I thought that would be a really valuable way of doing this. So thank you so much for being here. I'm going to be saving this chat so I can look back at some of these questions and address them directly to you. I so appreciate your participation here today. And oh, thanks for all the hearts. Oh, I got some flames. Wow. Okay. Somebody's got some dreams they're going after. Who's here to go after their dreams? And in doing so, feeling so fulfilled and helping others feel fulfilled as well. Yes, absolutely. 100%. Oh, so exciting. Thanks so much for being here. And yeah, I'm going to send a replay out to this if you want to listen to it again. More importantly, though, schedule a call with me if you're interested in learning more about the program. I'm very excited to deliver it in June. All the best to you. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Take care.